Hi, welcome to my video on the positive leading coefficient of the denominator. Your denominator, if I can turn this page over, there we go. Positive leading coefficient. The denominator of a rational expression should have a positive leading coefficient. So if your denominator is negative, we don't have a negative in the bottom. So, and in factoring, to follow the pattern I've established, the leading coefficient should be positive. Let's do some examples. Example, I have 4 over negative 5. Well, that means we can have a negative 4 divided by 5 because we multiply top and bottom by negative 1. We get 3 over negative x, multiply top and bottom by negative 1. We get negative 3 over x. Notice multiplying top and bottom by a negative 1 moves the negative at the bottom, puts it on the top. And again, multiplying by negative 1 on top and bottom. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Negative 5 times negative 1 is 5. So even in the top and the bottom, you multiply it by negative 1. So negative 3 times negative 1 is 1. Sorry, 3, yes. How did I get 1 there? And negative 1 times x plus 4 is negative x minus 4. So notice your denominator is always positive on the bottom. And right here, I multiply it by negative 1 on the top and bottom again. So the denominator is x, and the numerator is negative 1 times x is negative 1 times 2x is negative 2x. Negative 7 times negative 1 is plus 7. Your denominator is positive. Now we have a negative here. So if you multiply again top and bottom by negative 1, negative 1 times negative x is x, negative 4 times negative 1 is plus 4, and 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. So notice I multiplied top and bottom by negative 1. But I could also, if you think about it, watch this, I could also say that's 6 all over. Take the negative as the leading term, and I get a negative outside of x plus 4. Because when you remove the negative out of the leading term, you change the sign of all the terms. So that, taking the negative out makes that plus and that plus. Now you can multiply top and bottom by negative 1, and you still get the same answer. So you get a negative 6, negative times negative positive. So you get the same answer. And again, that's a negative. So if you go 4x plus 3, remove the negative at the bottom, factor, the negative coming out makes that plus and a minus. So now multiply top and bottom by negative 1, which I could have done right at the beginning. I get a negative 4x minus 3 all over x minus 2. Negative 1 times 4x, negative 4x. Negative 1 times plus 3, negative 3. Negative 1 times negative, positive. So notice I can take the negative out, or I can multiply top and bottom by negative 1. So negative 2x times negative 1 is 2x, plus 7x times negative 1 is negative 7. So notice the denominator has a leading coefficient positive. Now multiply negative 1 by these two, and I get a 5x plus 1. Do not have a negative in the bottom. Now, this is different. So this is 9 over, I have to do descending order, so that's a negative x plus 4. Now, if you multiply the bottom by negative 1 and the top by negative 1, that gives you negative 1 times negative is plus x, negative 1 times plus 4 is a minus 4, and 9 times negative 1 is negative 9. So notice the denominator in descending order got a positive leading coefficient. So change this around first, get the negative, and then multiply the denominator by negative 1 and the numerator by negative 1. Here's your positive leading coefficient. J is, again, descending order. So let's go x minus 10 over negative 3x minus 2. Notice I changed the order around, but I never changed the signs. Now I multiply the bottom by -1 and multiply the top by -1. And what does that give me? -1 times x is -x. -1 times -10 is +10. And -1 times -3x is 3x. -1 times -2 is 2. Notice your denominator has in descending order and has a positive coefficient. Perfect. Practice. Express each so that the denominator has a positive leading coefficient. So here we go. Multiply the bottom by -1. Multiply the top by -1. So that gives you -7/10. And a negative divided by negative is a positive. That's easy to do. So we've got a positive leading coefficient. And the bottom has a negative, so I'll multiply by -1. So that gives me -x plus 6. Negative times negative is positive. So you got a positive coefficient on the bottom. And we multiply by -1 again. It gives me -x times -1 is x. -1 times 9x is -9x. -2 times -1 is +2. So the bottom is positive. And we got a descending order is correct, but we got a negative leading coefficient. So we multiply top and bottom by -1. So we get 11 times -1 is -11. And -4x times -1 is 4x. And +1 times -1 is -1. So it's a positive leading coefficient. And right here we go with, notice, descending order on the bottom. So that's a -x plus 6. The x goes first, but notice this is -x plus 6. And we multiply the bottom by -1. We multiply the top by -1. And that gives us -1 times 2x is -2x. -1 times 3 is -3. -1 times -x is x. -1 times 6 is -6. So your denominator has a positive leading coefficient when it's in descending order. And number 7, the same. We got a -x minus 2. Descending order is a -x plus 3. So we want positive leading coefficient in the denominator, so we multiply by -1. And -1 times negative is x. -2 times -1 is 2. -x times -1 is x. 3 times -1 is -3. Descending order and leading coefficient is positive. And the same here. I have to multiply by -1 on top and bottom. So that gives me -2 times -1 is 2. -6x times -1 is 6x. -1 times -1 is 1. It's already in descending order, notice, so I just had to multiply by -1 to make the leading coefficient positive. And same here. I have to have, that's a negative, it's descending order, 2, 1 constant, and a 1 and a constant is, so I multiplied the denominator by -1 and the numerator by -1. That gives me -1 times all of this gives me a negative, a positive, and a negative. Negative x squared plus 2x minus 10. When I multiply -1 by all three of these, I get this. -1 times -x is x. 9 times -1 is -9. Positive leading coefficient in your denominator. Okay, if you liked the video that I just did, click the like button, subscribe button, and notification bell. And visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content. And that's the content that's on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Bye-bye.